Having a UPS with a defective battery in it, like here, if you switch it on, it comes on for a few seconds and switches off purely and simply because the battery is dead. This being a smaller UPS, the battery in it was quite small, so I decided to try a larger battery. Now, I did have some spare batteries about the workshop, and I decided to run a little experiment just to see whether it would work or not. Only a small amount of components and wire would be required to do this modification. I decided to use the smaller of the two lead acid batteries that I had. Tools required: cutters, pliers, screwdriver, male and female push-on connectors, some 15 amp wire, a box, plastic. In my case it was a 9-litre box which fitted the UPS into it quite nicely, and also I was able to put the battery in it as well. For me, this size box was absolutely perfect. You may need to get a box to suit your UPS and battery that you're going to use if you do this modification. You will need to drill a series of holes to enable you to gain access to the switch to switch it on and off, and also the power in and out. There are some vents on the UPS, so again some holes will have to be drilled in your plastic box to enable for ventilation. The 9-litre box that I got, it did have a lid that clipped on with the side handles, which was very handy indeed. This will stop any dirt and dust or any items falling into your new modified UPS box. Remove any plugs that may be connected to the mains and remove the screws that hold the casing of the UPS together. When splitting the case, ensure that you do not break off any of the internal wires. Unplug the old battery and discard safely by recycling it. The 15 amp cable can be obtained from either eBay, Amazon, your local car accessory shop. You will only need about 50 centimeters of this cable. A 6mm or 1/4 inch hole needs to be drilled through the UPS casing. This will enable your 15 amp cable to pass through from the inside of the UPS to the outside where your battery will be located. With the cable that you push through, 2 male push-in connectors need to be fitted onto this, one on the positive red and one on the negative black. These can either be the crimp-on type or solder-on type. It is possible to use a connector block to connect the wires from inside to out, but I preferred to use the push-on type and put a small piece of tape to insulate them. By doing it this way, it meant that if I ever wanted to revert back to the normal internal battery, I could do so because none of the wires that connect to the battery would have been damaged. Don't forget, red to red, black to black. I used a small cable tie around the wire on the inside of the case to stop the wire from being pulled through when fitted. That's all the work done on the inside of your old UPS unit. Check to ensure that there are no wires that have been pulled, broken, or any debris inside the casing, then reassemble the casing in the same order that you undone it. It's now time to modify the plastic box. As you said before, ensure that the UPS and battery fit in it before you start drilling any holes in it. I used a permanent marker pen to mark all the places that I was going to drill my holes. The box I had enabled me to see through it, so I was able to mark the area where the power in and out was going to be. The cutout can be done with either a drill or a Dremel. I used a file to file away any of the rough edges and make the hole square. From time to time, pop the UPS unit into the box to ensure that the square hole you're making is in the right place. I then used a small drill, about 6mm or 1/4, and drilled through all the places that I'd marked with my marker pen. I then used a cone drill to make the holes a lot bigger, as you can see on the screen. When you finish doing all your drilling, cutting and filing, ensure that the box is cleaned out in readiness for when you fit your old UPS unit into it. If all is well, the power in and out section and also the on and off switch should be accessible from the outside of your plastic box. It's now time to fit your battery inside the plastic box. My UPS unit had vent holes at the back, so my battery would have to be positioned at the front of the box. With the battery in its location, it's now time to measure and cut the 15 amp cable to length. Remember to leave plenty of slack cable, as this will help when putting in and taking out the battery. I removed the UPS unit out of the plastic box to enable me to fit the battery connectors. My battery had spade connectors, so I used the crimp-on type. These were available from my local car accessories shop. That concludes the modification for the UPS and battery lead. With the UPS and battery in place, I used a small piece of wood in the bottom of the plastic casing to stop the battery from sliding backwards and forwards. It's now time to test everything that you've done. Simply connect up the battery. Don't forget to observe the polarity of the battery. In other words, the red wire goes to the positive and the black wire goes to the negative. Connect your AC power lead to the back of the UPS and plug it in. If all is well, the UPS will switch on and stay on, and more importantly, if you remove the AC power cord, the UPS will stay on. That concludes the full modification of the UPS unit by adding an external battery. I hope you found this project of interest to you. Thank you for watching.